Gen 5 color science is coming to the 4K, the 6K, and the 6K Pro. What is up, fellow procrastinators? I'm Flamecom. For those of you in the camera world who are not caught up in the latest in tech and all that, Blackmagic Design has announced the Blackmagic Pocket Cinema Camera 6K Pro. Apart from it possessing an even longer name now, yeah, some of the other headline grabbers of that camera is that it now has internal ND filters. I saw like a video of someone in Singapore who already has had their hands on the Pocket 6K Pro, because like pretty much it started shipping pretty much at the time of the presentation at their live stream. They were trying out the internal ND filter with the 2 stops, 4 stops, and 6 stops. But I think it's just about enough if you're going, say, like aperture f4 and above, except if you're like in a parking lot and the ground was all white and it's just like reflecting everywhere. I would rather they go like C70 where it was like 2, 4, 6, 8 and then expand it up to 10, or like the Sony's where you can then electronically have like a variable internal ND filter. That is a game changer. Again, yes, 6 stops may be enough, yeah, if you can close down your aperture, because like I just think back onto that like Tony Northrup sort of video. Yeah, and then Camera Conspiracies did a good video on it where, you know, it's like bokeh and just like thin depth of field does not equal cinematic footage. You know, why? Yeah, the point was like, you know, why bring out your talent to a beautiful location just to hide it with a blurry background? You know, what was the point? And if anything, Hollywood movies, they always go like f4 or whatever, you know, just like it's blurry enough of a background, but there's still context. There's more to a cinematic image than just blurry background and like, ooh, f1.8 and whatever. Ooh, I'm gonna use a Sigma 18-35. No, you gotta consider, say, like the position of the sun. Where is the sun? Should I position it behind the talent so that it creates like a backlight and you can outline the talent with like a rim light or something? What is the color palette? What is the costume design? What was the production design and all that? And the production and the set designs color palette, has it been consistent throughout the shoot? Are you focusing on the eyes enough? What are the actions? Again, is it a period piece? Is it, you know, like appropriate costumes, like femme fatale sort of like red lipsticks? Just all of that it forms into this amalgamation that is what we call a cinematic experience, and blurry background is just one part of the whole formula. Okay, so just you gotta think more than just lens choice. But still, I would prefer if they had like more than 6 stops of ND. If anything, you know what? I'm not sure like how useful 2 stops is. That just seems like it's barely done enough. You know, maybe what if they go like 4, 6, and 8 stops? Just a thought. It possesses an even bulkier body build, and on top of that, a new battery accessory was announced for it, just for this camera. This camera now accepts the Sony NPF batteries, the 570. On one battery, it still drains juice like crazy. It's only like a few minutes longer. But with this battery grip, you can add 2 additional NPF 570s, so with a total of 3 batteries, that's actually hot swappable, because instead of the old one where you have to slot in to the LPE6 compartment and then add in the 2 batteries and stuff, here you keep the original battery that's in the body and you just add in 2 additional NPF 570s into the battery grip. And it's hot swappable because you can keep the original one in and like put in new ones. And supposedly, you can go on for 3 hours on that like 3 battery sort of setup. Now, for people who've invested into the workflow and the accessorizing of their 4K or their 6K and their professional workflow, they've already got like a bunch of like V-mount batteries around, and if anything, I would suggest use V-mount batteries instead because it'll last all day. And yeah, it'll like just V-mount batteries are more universal. Also too, another thing is that you can add an EVF onto the top of it, so that's pretty nice. And like it comes with the, yeah, just like those eye thingies that you can rest your eyes against so that you can block out the sun and all that. Oh, also too, the screen is sort of like you can tilt up and down. I would still prefer if it was like a flip out screen. I know this is not meant to be like a vlogging camera, but still with the flip out screen, it's just like infinitely more versatile than just the up and down sort of viewing angle, because then there's also the left and right viewing angles that you should see. Like, thing is with a flip out screen is that not only can I sort of see up angle, low angle like this, but also too, like, because I can move it left and right, then I can decide to sort of like do that. The camera will be like looking sort of that way, and I can still look at the screen like so from the side of it. Again, it's not like the pocket cameras are not vlogging cameras, but it does help that you can pretty much set the monitor to any direction you want. Say you've got some crew that's like over in that direction, they can also be looking at it, so they just look at the screen like this, you know, and that convenient. It's so much more versatile. Look down like so, look up, look down. Okay, so say for example, I wanted to get down low, get some like low angle shots and all that, but my screen was fixed to the camera and I wanted to film like this. That means I'd have to sort of like go down in this awkward position, or like mount a separate monitor here. I was like very one-man bandy. But instead of just like putting myself through all that physical strain, I can just like whip out the monitor like this and then just like tilt it upwards like so, and then just like look at it from down like that. It's sort of like with those old 2-lens cameras where you have to sort of like look down at that, sort of like a periscope, and just like film that way. That was a satisfying click. Without physical strain, I just see my focus, film some beautiful B-rolls like so. So much more easy. But like that being said, it is worth it to still add like a second monitor. So whilst the camera operator is looking at the main screen on the pocket camera, the crew can be looking at sort of the director's monitor rather than just everyone huddling around the back of the camera. Yeah, it's still worth it to get a second monitor, especially one that you can swivel left and right, up and down. And that can only be achieved with rigging it out with accessories from like Tilta or Small Rig, which is what I've got. Now, one other thing I should point out also, let's just like use another camera as an example. It acts as a good sort of protection for your camera. You can see I've got like some scuffles here, but hey, those scratches are not on the screen itself. So hey, that's the screen protected. Go flip out screen. I mean, you're already kind of there with the Ursa camera, so why not do it with the pocket cameras as well? Apart from it being tiltable, again, I wish they had a flip out screen rather than a tilt up and down thing. Yeah, it's like what, 1500 nits or something? Fact check me on that. Yeah, OLED as well. It's crazy bright. Yeah, I'm actually kind of surprised. It's a good camera, still using the same sensor as the 6K. But yes, as I said at the beginning of this video, it uses the Gen 5 color science. So for me, I am mainly a Final Cut user because that is literally the only NLE that remotely works on my computers. Previously, the workflow has just been get the Blackmagic RAW file into DaVinci Resolve, and then turn on Gen 5 so that it's an even flatter log image, and then export as ProRes, and then put that back into Final Cut so that way it's like I can edit B-raw footage essentially. But yes, now with an update that's coming in about a month for all 3 of the Pocket family of cameras, yes, so in the future I'll be able to record with Gen 5 colors. And just bypass having to transcode from B-roll into ProRes, and then just putting that into Final Cut Pro. You know, that adds time, you know, time that, let's admit it, all of us have a limited expenditure of. But, you know, it is what it is. And speaking of, actually, I'm recording in B-roll now, so I can go into Gen 5 color here, and and then like have even more latitude that way. Gen 5 is not necessarily expanding the dynamic range, but I would say that given that it's a flatter image, I have found that the highlight roll-off and the highlight recovery has worked even better. Some bits that before on Gen 4, if I turned on the highlight recovery thing, it wouldn't work as well, whereas then I converted to Gen 5, then it, like magic, Blackmagic, it will work. Yeah, it's like as if the histogram has been expanded. But yeah, that's my sort of thoughts on the whole like camera announcements. I'm not a live streaming sort of guy, so I didn't really catch up on the Atom Mini and all that. My local church community is planning on doing like live streaming, so maybe I'll look into the Atom Mini there. yeah, through HDMI inputs and all that. So that's been my quick 2 cents on the camera announcements that Blackmagic had. I think in conclusion, for people who've already invested well into their Pocket 4K or Pocket 6K, a sort of workflow and accessorizing and all that in their production house, they can stay firm where they are. The 6K Pro is a nice sort of update to the 6K, but it's not an essential sort of upgrade, especially if the people have already figured out like a good workflow with their existing Pocket family of cameras. Like I myself am mainly a variable ND kind of guy, so I like to go in between the stops. But yeah, again, like internal ND, it's nice to have, you know, it means you can carry less with you. And also the EVF, you know, very nice to have with bright sunny outdoors. But yes, anyways, Gen 4 versus Gen 5, all cameras are gonna get it. I don't have to convert from B-roll into ProRes anymore. I can just go straight into Gen 5 color grading into Final Cut Pro. They're still supporting the Pocket like family of cameras, which is very nice, very pro consumer, very what's it called? Very CSR. Yeah, all that like update to the rest of the cameras will come like next month. So as anyways, hope you enjoyed my 2 cents on it. Thanks for watching. Keep on procrastinating. Stay hydrated. Stay warm out there. I know Texas definitely is going through a really rough patch right now. And ooh, just a quick side note. A week ago, I finished uni. Like I finished uni. So now onto uncharted territories and yeah, unplanned, unstructured part of my life. Job hunting and trying to make a name for myself in the wild west, you know. So yeah, the year ahead and even 6 months from now, it's a period of experimentation and mostly just like depressing over how little money I have left because filmmaking is a very expensive job / hobby. Mostly it's just a case of gear acquisition syndrome. Why is it so expensive? Thanks for watching. Keep on procrastinating and see ya. You know why I went with green and purple? Because green and purple are opposites. Bit of color contrast. Should be nice there. Yep. All right.